to remain with the old name, country statistics here. In the new world, it's IPC, International Premium and Claims Statistics. You will see some of the premium volumes collected and some statistics on the claims. Before I go into that, I would like also to make a short teaser on what we see after this presentation. I think Stefan has commented also briefly on that Simon is presenting also some further development of our statistics. A few more abbreviations to which we all need to become comfortable to, but that's the task of Simon to run through that. I would just like to highlight here that the country statistics, the traditional ones, are based on financial year, as you all know, and the new ones are basically, in particular, IMIA rate change index, IMIA loss ratio index, are based on underwriting year. And I think you will all agree that, in particular, for our long-lasting project business, underwriting year gives a real additional volume to the understanding of the market changes and developments here. But that's so far my short teaser to the presentation after mine. Let's continue with the traditional country statistics. And let's have a brief look into the past. This is what has been delivered over the last some 16, 18 years, from 2002 to 2018. And while we all have had a lot of words of criticism to it, if you read it carefully enough, some elements of truth are in that. And if you look at the blue line, for example, the blue line is representing, I think, somewhat the feeling of the increasing loss ratios over the year in the world. Each and every country might be very much different from that, but this is the general trend observed by the reported premiums into this statistic. Coming to this year's statistic now, I can as well, and I kindly ask for your continued input to that. For this year's statistics, we got input from the countries highlighted in the middle. Some 15 countries delivered the statistics, so it's not the complete world market, to be honest with that, but it's of course some substantial element of it. The ones in bold delivered even premium including large losses. So large losses we do not get from anybody, but from the ones in bold, and this is an inherent challenge to how to present the statistics, and I will come to that in a minute here. Yeah, this is the prologue, so to say. Now we come to the premium volumes per country. And this is where the first challenge starts when you think a little bit longer about the presentation of this statistic. I'm now presenting this statistic for the third year. And I've followed very much the presentation style of my predecessors here. However, if you look a little bit more accurately into the figures, the blue columns here indicating the premium volume reported in the previous years. In 17, there were almost 9 billion. In 19, it was down to 6.6. But you see on the right side here, that even the numbers of contributing countries is also decreasing. So I thought it's much better to indicate a trend if you show only what has been reported in 2019 by 15 countries. And there you see, again, the first indication of a trend. 17, 18, so softening, soft market, base of soft market situation. And 19, it looks like the premium is increasing. And again, thanks to all of you who have contributed. As you see, we're very much depending on your contributions. The world premium is about 3 or 4 times higher than what we are collecting here. So it's a part of the market, it's a snapshot, and we need to be, of course, quite careful with all interpretations out of these figures here. This is about the premium volume. Now to the premium split in various lines of business. Not that exciting, to be honest, the premium split in percentages to the top right. And you see there's not a big change. There's not a big change from year to year, although you see on CAR, EAR from 2018, 36 to 41 in 2019. And you see a decrease in the operational businesses, where traditionally the loss ratio is a bit better compared to EAR, CAR. Continuing with the statistics, you know very much this famous table of the volume of all the countries. Take your time after the presentation and the next days to run through this table here. What I would like to highlight here is just the arrows to the right, the greenish and the red arrows. The only remark I can give here for the time being is that the red arrows indicating increasing loss ratio from 18 to 19 are getting less. This is what has been reported. Loss ratios on a financial year basis are getting less. To complete the story is, as always, IDI is separated from the normal statistics. IDI is a very limited field of reporting. You see only two countries have reported something, and everybody knows this is a 10 years policy, minimum 10 years, sometimes even much longer. So it's not cannot be judged on just 1 year. The years reported have quite low loss ratios here. Now we come into the claims. And hold on a second. What is your expectations now in terms of ratios per country? Make up your mind. And here it is. Again, this is the reports, the reported premiums I got in 2019. On the top left, you see the full premium and the respective loss ratio over all lines of business. So operational lines of business, being machine breakdown, electronic, loss of profit, and project lines like CER, ER, and respective transfer of profit policies. So again, it looks like a certain decrease of loss ratios. Please feel free to read out what you read out for these figures. Again, this is a part of the market. And when we come to the large losses, you see some differing premium volumes here. And this is due to the situation that the large losses are reported only for the last year, every year. So this year, I got the large losses reported for 2019 only. And this is now amended by what has been reported in 2018, large losses, and respective premium, including large losses, and in 2017, large losses and respective premium. And therefore, these figures do not match each other because it's a different set of bases. This is the loss ratios, always a bit surprisingly low, and this is why I dare to give this comment that obviously some of the losses we're seeing in the open market are probably not harming, not hurting our member companies so much. So I think Simon will also give a bit better comment on the large loss situation later on in this presentation. Now, all lines of business are going to be split down to operational lines of business, MB, business interruption, loss of profit, and others. And again, here you see a downward trend overall, similar to the total figure, and a somehow mixed situation on the large losses. I dare to say, to give a statement on the statistics of the worldwide claims, the basis is quite small here. So again, this is what has been reported for our members. Happy to receive more premiums and more large loss from more countries in the next year. So this is operational lines of business. This is projects lines of business. Again, in the 60s, somewhere the loss ratios very much similar to the past years. If this is going to be a trend, we need to find out later on, and everybody should look at his own portfolio, what his experiences are. Same with the large losses. Obviously, at least the countries who have reported their local business have experienced less large losses. But I will come later also to a little bit of interpretation of the large losses, and will give my comment to that as well. So this is project business, CIER, get it completed, not too much to report with electronic, none large losses, and very few overall premium with a slightly lower loss ratio than operational. And CER, to complete the picture, is IDI now. IDI, it's not worth to discuss too much because this is for sure a very small reported premium for that.
Dieter, I have a question about IDI. Can you hear me?
Please? Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, someone's asking why we don't show the IDI figures for France. Can you give this historical reason, I think? Yeah.
The answer is quite simple. I do not get it reported. We are asking for these figures, and I remember some years down the road, some 6-8 years back, I remember that the IDI figures for France, the biggest country in terms of IDI or decennial business, has reported a figure in the region of some 2 billion for this sort of business only. For some reason, it was disappeared over the last years, and therefore currently there's only Italy and Spain reporting. Well, I think we all know that there's other countries where this line of business is quite interesting, like Belgium, like France, like the UK. So I will take the question to encourage all these countries and representatives of these countries to report these IDI figures as well as part of the engineering figures. And this is, of course, another element of the challenge, as I guess in some countries and some companies, these IDI decennial sort of businesses are not run via the engineering department. But this is different from country to country and from company to company. Hope this answers the question. Now we're coming to the last part of the presentation, which is the numbers of losses and the large losses in volume. First, we start with the numbers of large losses. And you remember from one of the last charts that the premium volume is reducing, which comes with large loss reporting. And therefore, the numbers of losses decreasing is not a surprise, isn't it? And the question is, of course, what is the let's say the relative importance of the large losses? And I just, oops, sorry, I made a wrong click here. Look, now it comes on here, and I made an easy calculation that I said, okay, talking about numbers of losses, what does it mean in 2017 if we have 157? Just divide 6.5 billion by 157, and you find one large loss per 42 million. And this is decreasing. You see the same algorithm delivers for 18 and 19 about 30 million per large claim. So you see that there's a tendency of getting more large claims. If they're getting higher or lower, we will see in the next chart, at least from the countries reported. So this trend in terms of numbers is definitely increasing over the years according to the reported figures here. This is now the volume in US dollar, in operational and in CER business. And the pattern is following very much similar to the previous years, apart from others is reducing. So thanks for being much more accurate on these things, because to deliver the cause of loss others does not give us any guidance. We see we see on the project side that we have, of course, a lot of hazards of CAT, a lot of effects on CAT. To the experienced ones between us, not that much of a surprise. Also, a lot of what I call here the faulties: faulty abrasion, faulty material workmanship, faulty design. Much more volume than on the operational side, while the premium is more or less the same volume of these reports here. And for those of you who would like to know it quite accurately, I've put a lot of figures on the top, so feel free to study that. And on the basis of the reported claims, this is effects. Don't exaggerate the interpretation. Again, this is on the basis of the reported figures. It's not the world market completely. It's you as the countries develop. So that's cause of loss. Now we skip electronic and IDI. There's not that much reported on large losses. IDI nothing, IDI just 1. We go to main items affected. Again, we see on the project side, EAR, CER, advanced loss profit, quite high effects on civil engineering works, which are indeed affected very often by natural hazards, I would guess. And on the operational side, on the left side, we see the traditional pattern of turbo generators, boiler pressure vessels are leading the volume of claims in 2019. Again, don't forget, the reported volume of claims is quite limited, and I guess some of us have also seen much larger individual losses than we see here in these reports. This is now the volume of the large claims with the cause of loss. And again, for the last 3 years, you see these decreasing trend. Not very meaningful, I thought. This is why I changed that back to percent. And in percentage, it gives a bit more meaningful statement. At least it shows that the decrease in volume is not in parallel with the decrease of severity. You see the severity is increasing from 17 to 18 and from 18 to 19, again, slowing down a bit. And don't forget, the basis of these figures is relatively moderate. You see it on the top, relatively moderate premium volume, and therefore the interpretation needs to be done with utmost care here. Yeah, this is cause of loss, all ups, and looking at my timer, I think I've made it just in time, but before I finish my presentation.
Dieter, a couple of questions. One is about the your statistics for the CAR, EAR book. The question is around earned premium versus claims, and I think this is probably better answered by Simon in his presentation. It's the whole reason why we're going ahead with the ILORI scheme, so that we have a better analysis of the CAR, EAR book on an underwriting year basis. And the second,
excellent remark. Just to amend it a bit, as I said in the beginning, this is financial year, and we got even challenged for these supposedly simple question. What we get reported, earned or written, and I think Simon will introduce our idea also to improve the delivering of statistics, by some webinar which we're going to offer to get it more accurate if we get earned or written or booked.
The second question I have is, as a lot of our the countries presenting the claims are actually using euros as their main currency, do you think it would make a lot of difference if we presented the statistics in euros instead of US dollars?
We have not discussed that. It is an element, of course, as exchange rate of the dollar also has a substantial impact in all these statistics. The principle for the time being is that the last year's closing exchange rate is used for the 2019 figures. For the 1817 figures is used the closing exchange rate at the respective year end, but we probably should also give it a try to make the same stats, percentages, all these things in euro and see what the outcome of that is. Thanks for this comment.
Okay, that's it. That's it for questions.
Yeah. Okay. Then coming to my last page, and again, the circle is completed. A lot of figures, and hopefully not too many of you are now completely confused with what I've presented, because it goes now to the next level with my dear friend Simon. And Simon is bringing us a little bit closer to the next statistics here, which are being based on